Hi, everybody. I'm Terry Schussler, and what I want to talk about today is vibe coding with XR, but I need my presentation. Why this moment is so exciting for people building spatial experiences. We're moving into a world where more people can turn intent into something interactive in 3D space much faster than before. And in XR, that matters because the gap between a good idea and something you can actually feel in space has always been a little too wide. My goal today is to give you a practical map of how the tools are changing, where agents fit, and how to stay creative while the entire XR stack keeps shape-shifting under our feet. Quick public service announcement. Please scan this now. That way you get the full deck and the extra material, because I don't have to watch a synchronized wave of phones rising up and down over the next 15 minutes. In XR, we already deal with motion comfort. Watching people repeatedly lift phones at me is its own vestibular challenge. So scan it now, then put the phone down and relax, and I promise I'll keep things moving. I'll also show the QR code again at the end for people who get here late. Shame on you. I'm just kidding. Okay. The most important tool you have is your imagination. Before we get into agents and tooling, I want to start here. The most important tool you have is your imagination. In spatial computing, imagination is what lets you picture the experience before the APIs are stable, before the SDK is polished, and sometimes before the platform team has finished naming things. But imagination also has to become storytelling. You need to tell a clear story to the AI tools so that they can help you build. And you need to tell a clear story to the human on the other end so the experience actually lands. When I say vibe coding with XR, I mean that we are lowering the friction between an idea and a spatial interaction. It is opening the door to a much wider group of builders, developers, designers, founders, domain experts, and creative people who may never have wanted to spend 6 months fighting a tool chain before making their first prototype. That does not mean craft goes away. It means more people can start, and the people who understand experience design, storytelling, and user intent can move forward much faster towards something real. In other words, the superpower is not typing faster. The superpower is expressing what should happen in space clearly enough that modern tools can help you get there. By the way, take a look at the data from Lovable here, because this is a really telling thing. 4 in 5 builders come from non-technical backgrounds. This is really compelling data that just came out of a report that they did recently. And 79% are building something they intend to monetize. Now, Lovable is a platform that's built for building web apps, but I actually been building WebXR applications in it, so that's one of the reasons I use this as a reference here. Okay. Vibe coding is always changing. One of the wild things right now is how fast the work itself keeps changing. In XR, the tools, SDKs, devices, runtimes, and best practices evolve so quickly that just staying current can feel like a part-time job with no benefits. Even tomorrow, with all the reveals, I'm going to have to redo my presentation. The upside is that AI tooling gives creators a counterbalance. You can look at a brand new API the same day it drops, understand the docs faster, scaffold experiments immediately, and be much more fearless about trying it. So yes, the ground is moving under us, but that is exactly why this workflow matters. It gives builders a way to keep up with the pace of change instead of being crushed by it. Now, I like to think about vibe coding as a sequence of modes, not one magic prompt. Early on, it is conversation, brainstorming, exploring use cases, pressure testing ideas, and planning what the experience should be. Then you move into generation, iteration, cleanup, optimization, and maintenance. Yes, maintenance, remember that? All of those later stages, what really helps are reusable instruction packs and domain-specific workflows that guide the agent through repetitive or repeated tasks. So for me, the big takeaway is that good results come from structure. You still need a human to frame the problem, tell the story, define the experience, and decide what good looks like. Now, this slide is, sorry. hit the wrong button. This slide is really the center of the talk. The developer or creator starts with intent. The agent helps orchestrate the work. The surrounding tools give it the ability to actually do things. And the target platforms are where all of that turns into a real XR experience. So the user or developer is still absolutely in the loop. You're setting direction, making trade-offs, deciding what matters, and judging the output. The agent is powerful, but it is not the product manager, the interaction designer, and the human with taste all by itself. Now, this is a big one. Most agents, out of the box, do not know very much about XR. They might be great at generic software tasks, but spatial computing has different rules: comfort, anchoring, locomotion, affordances, scene understanding, performance budgets. And the basic question of what should happen in 3D space are all different here. So if you want better output, you need to focus the agent with XR-specific context, patterns, and instructions. Otherwise, you can get something that looks competent in text and feels completely wrong in a headset. The developers who want to stay ahead are going to become excellent skill engineers. Yes, we were prompt designers last year. Now we're skill engineers. And yes, I know it sounds a little like I'm recruiting for a very organized supervillain team. But seriously, the advantage goes to the people who can package hard-won knowledge into reusable instruction sets that travel across tools and agents. That is how you scale your expertise. Also, if you are imagining an army of tiny yellow minions carrying little instruction cards from one agent to another, honestly, that is not the worst mental model for what is happening. Now, what is elegant here is the loading model. The agent does not need every detailed instruction up front. It first discovers what is available, then pulls in the right guidance when the task matches, then executes the right context at the right time. That matters because context is expensive and attention is limited for humans and for machines. So this gives you breadth without turning every session into a giant junk drawer of instructions. MCP matters, Model Context Protocol, because it connects the agent to real actions in your XR toolchain. Not just talking about building, but actually building. Deploying to hardware, running simulators, grabbing logs, profiling, validating assets, checking docs, pushing through the pipeline. In XR, this is where the work lives. Once an agent can touch those real surfaces, it stops being a clever commentator and starts becoming an actual operator in your workflow. Now, this is a dense chart, I admit. But this chart is my attempt to be useful at AWE 2026, which means there is a decent chance it self-destructs in about 24 hours, depending on what gets announced on stage tomorrow. But as a snapshot, it helps frame the landscape. WebXR is still the fastest door in when you want reach, links, and low-friction demos. Native platforms give you deeper spatial capability when you need more polish, more system access, or richer platform features. The important thing is not to ask for one winner. Ask which target matches the story you're trying to tell, the interaction you want to create, and the speed at which you need to move. Now, I want to be very clear here. I am not playing favorites just because I'm using Xcode as my case study. I only have 15 minutes. So I picked it because it is a very visible and timely example of where the industry is going, and because it gives us a clean way to talk about agents, reusable instruction packs, model access, tool connectivity, and platform-specific XR workflows in one place. You could make similar observations in other ecosystems too. Xcode just happens to be a useful lens for this discussion right now. Now, what I like about this is that agent setup is becoming more normal, more exposed, and less like a science project hidden in a GitHub issue. You can see the beginnings of a mainstream workflow where agent configuration, model choice, and tool access are treated as part of the development environment. That is important because once setup becomes ordinary, experimentation becomes ordinary too. And that's how new workflows spread. And just as a point here, you have Apple has built in foundation model tools, but then it also allows you to integrate not only the agents that you see listed here, but you can even add your own local agents as well as cloud-based ones. And this is all in Xcode 27 that was just released in the last week or so. Now, the cool thing is skills are included in Xcode 27. This is one of the strongest signals in the whole deck. We are seeing reusable domain guidance become a first-class asset inside of a major development environment. And look at the kind of things included here: UI structure, migration, testing, security, and device interaction checks. That is valuable because it means the environment is starting to ship with opinionated expertise, not just buttons and menus. It also hints at a future where teams build and share their own internal guidance packs, skills, the same way they share libraries today. And in fact, if you look at some of the recent talks by Boris, who is the creator of Claude Code, he talks very much about how people are building skills and sticking them into the enterprise root so that the entire company uses them, or entire teams can use it within their team roots. So this is really important to understand the empowerment of tools, skills, specifically. And as I mentioned, you can export inside of Terminal the skills, and you can look at how the skills are constructed to get a really good idea of what a good skill looks like, right? These are really good sort of models to work through. Also, I should make the point that you can actually build skills, meta skills, that can construct other skills. For example, let's say that there's a new, 11 Labs API that comes out tomorrow that creates new types of spatial sounds, and you want to incorporate that API into your project, but you've never seen this API before, you don't have time or the desire to read through mind-numbing amounts of API docs. You can build a meta skill that can actually go off and pull in the URL for the documentation and analyze it, and then build a skill that's specifically capable of generating spatial sounds using that API. I showed in the download link that I shared earlier, there's my talks that I did at United XR in Europe in December, where literally 3 hours before the presentation, Google released Android XR Developer Preview 3, and I had to build a knowledge artifact so that my AI tools understood what were the features in there, and there was a massive amount of features. So there's a whole example of how you build this sort of on-the-fly knowledge artifact, and also you could build a skill that could incorporate that knowledge into the capabilities of your platform. Now, Agents MD is how you focus the agent on who it is, how it should work, and what matters in your project. You might remember this as building a role description for ChatGPT before you asked it to do some sort of analysis or generate some content, right? You're a marketing expert with the ability to handle, online business models, blah, blah, blah. And then you would use that role to then describe guidance to it as to how it should perform the tasks that you then followed with. So this is super important that you can now do this at the agent level. You can define expertise, so you can build an XR developer role persona that you can bake into the agent's capabilities and knowledge, so that it now knows how to think like and operate like, or manage the skills and tasks in an appropriate manner. So this is especially important in XR because agents do not typically arrive with much real spatial understanding by default. They need help. Your agents.md you use your agents.md to load in role, domain knowledge, platform patterns, code standards, communication style, and the specific gotchas your team keeps running into. It is basically how you stop the agent from acting like a very confident new hire who has never worn a headset. When I look ahead, I think the opportunity is huge. Programming still matters. Programmers get superpowers. But creative judgment also still matters. Storytelling matters even more, because you're now telling the machine what to build and telling the user why the experience matters. The builders who thrive will be the ones who prototype quickly, learn new APIs without fear, use automation to skip the dirty work, and stay focused on the quality of the experience. So thank you for coming to my talk. I hope this gave you a useful way to think about where XR creation is heading, and I hope you grab the deck afterward, because there are more materials, there's more slides, and I'll be adding to that. I'll also be updating the presentation at the end of AWE with any important, relevant changes and announcements that are made tomorrow or the day after. So thank you.